Hey guys, my name is Ric Flo. I'm a rapper slash care leaver, and I use the art of rap to empower young people who've got care experience just like me. Because once I realized that hip hop is the voice of the voiceless, I always wondered that if it really is that, why have I never heard from the experience of someone who's been in foster care? And that's pretty much been the catalyst of the story that I've told about myself and my experiences in care through music. And the whole point of it really was to show, like, regardless of the past, you can make a positive future. And the presentation I'm gonna be showing you today is literally called Inspired by the Voice of the Voiceless, because I felt that's what hip hop done to me. And the journey that it's took me on has been incredible to give back to a community that have lived similar experiences to me and use my creativity to help the community. So I'm gonna show you a presentation and show you some of the experiences and ideas that I think are important to share. But first, just to show that I'm legit with my rap, I'm just gonna reintroduce myself in rap form. So I'm a country bumpkin, outside the street fighter, telltales, piper, polite writer, graphic designer, artistic, dyslexic like Einstein, so I'm fine, bright mind, imaginative and feeling fantastic. I rectify the bad habits, realizing the math and the mechanics. My body's my temple, the world is my palace. I cup the mic like a chalice and wonderland like Alice. The reflection of intention, creation is magic. Eclectic mix of influences in my palette, vivid living, harsh realities turn into light and wisdom. Carpe diem, tattooed to my being, the feeling of freedom, blessed happiness, yes, splendid. Transcending, never ending, infinitely, definitely engulfed in the melody, eloquently. My spirit feeling heavenly, the enemy, open sesame, untapped energy, sick but no need for therapy. Rick. And there's no need for therapy because literally music was my therapy. Where I felt I couldn't necessarily talk about my experiences to new carers or to necessarily to friends, you know, music was always that safe space that I could share. And that's the experience that I want to give young people that I work with when I do workshops, which I've been lucky enough to do through sharing my story. So without further ado, let's go through this presentation and show you some of the ideas I want to share with you today. Now, introduction wise, obviously I've already given an introduction, but I want to say like a commercial level, I'm in a hip hop group called Jungle Brown, who are signed to Mr. Bongo. And that's gave me the blessings of being able to play at Lovebox, Glastonbury, Boomtown, even just before lockdown. We was on our European leg, just about to start our European leg, but obviously, yeah, that went out of the window. But hey, let's see what happens in a few months' time. Or actually, for the live gig circuit, I don't know what's going on, but we're not going to go into that. But anyway, I'm in a group called Jungle Brown, and it's been a blessing. But where my music journey started was my curiosity for music. I used to do talent shows back at school. I was like 11, 12. And, you know, if you told me that I was going to be playing at Lovebox, Glastonbury, Boomtown with friends that also mutually love music, I would never think that. I just literally, I just wanted to write a cool rap to my friends at school. And it's been amazing that I've nurtured my curiosity to be at the level that I'm at now. So the three parts of this presentation that I want to go into is changing the narrative, the importance of representation, and mentors, but on the most part, showing that you care. Because mentors is an interesting concept to me, but we'll go into that. But let's go straight into changing the narrative. Now, as I said, when I first started doing music, to be honest, I wasn't really trying to change the narrative. I just wanted to tell my story. But being really inspired by hip hop and knowing that, I guess Chuck D, I think, was the person that said hip hop is like the rap CNN, and it's from the voice of the voiceless. That really literally made me think like, okay, why have I never really heard an experience that's similar to mine in care? So my first proper project was A Boy Called Rick, which was actually inspired by a child called It, if you guys might know it. And the blessings of telling my experiences of care and music, even though it was hard initially at first, because, you know, there's one thing saying I'm going to do something, but, you know, when you see no one around you that's done something similar, and because some of the stories were quite personal, talking about my transition of going from London to Bournemouth, going through different carriers, trust, love, what is love, like all of these emotions, feeling lost, all of these emotions. It wasn't easy to want to say, but I just, there was just something in me that told me, like, this is bigger than me, so let me just do it. Like, why not? Let's, like, regardless of, let's say, some biological members of the family not sure about the direction of me doing that, it's like, like, I just have to do it. Like, if, like, being inspired by Tupac and Lauryn Hill, it's like there's a realness with hip hop where it's just like, why shy away from your truth? So anyways, I just carried on full throttle with it. And my first song was called Hide and Seek, which is quite playful, to be honest. But video wise, let's say you've got a young person who's on a skateboard and he's just going about life, just having fun. And behind closed doors, there's not, you could say there's arguments and just like some domestic stuff that's really not that cool, but it's a metaphor essentially for, hey, there's a young person finding their joy because home's not necessarily where that joy's at. And there's a few playful concepts in the music video as well, where you got literally a portrait of someone hiding themselves, and then they turn around and they smile to the camera, and some playful elements. Because regardless of me doing this in my 20s, I knew that I wanted to direct the vision towards young people and make it have that playful attitude, so they could really get into the story that I'm trying to tell them. Now, little did I know that this song would resonate so well that Swansea Social Services wanted the song to be choreographed by their young people for their Young Looked After Children's Awards. Now, Young Looked After Children's Awards happens every year across the country, and it's basically a day, an event to celebrate the achievements of the young people that are in care within that county, within that borough. So their theme that year was I Can See You, Can You See Me? And Hide and Seek just happened to fit with that theme. And what was so incredible about the experience was that, there's one thing, me having this idea in my head and thinking like, oh, I'm not too sure if it's too close to home. And there's another thing, actually seeing young people resonate with the idea and them show you their creativity over your music. I knew that this idea was bigger than me, but when I actually see it, it was a whole nother ball game. It actually inspired me to write another song, which I'm going to talk about shortly. But yeah, these are some of the young people that I actually worked on a newer song with, and it was incredible. It just, as I said, it just reaffirmed that this is bigger than me, and this could be really important to some people. So the following year, I think that was in 2015. The following year, 2016. They're like, hey Rick, we know you're a graphic designer, you do animations, you do photography, you seem to be quite a creative dude beyond rap. Would you mind coming up to Swansea again and helping the young people write about their experiences and just showing creative tools to unleash their creativity? And I was like, yeah, why not? And just that experience, I'm a graphic designer freelance by day, and it's like, it's cool making stuff look good for brands, but it's like when you've got something that's so close to home and your passion, and you see these young people resonate with it, and you're able to give back in this way, it's just so powerful. And some of the statistics and some of the things I'm going to be showing you very shortly, I had no clue about it, because when I was in care, I wasn't really trying to look into the system per se. I was just trying to live my life. I was just trying to have fun, trying to find my joy. So it was just so heartwarming to see these young people really resonate with my creativity and ask me about my experiences in care and, how I looked at life. And yeah, anyways, so I love light painting. So I was showing them photography techniques on how to draw with light and all sorts of creative tools to help them with their creativity, basically. And you saw them young people with me in the studio. Now, they eventually, their voices are on a song that I've got called Do You. And Do You pretty much encapsulates the reason and the purpose why I do music. Sorry, at this point, do I show the video or Should I just go?
Yeah. If you could show the video as you would normally, and then
cool.
I'll literally just superimpose the video over the top.
Okay, cool. So as I gave you a little insight into hide and seek, just to give you a little insight into this video, because I creatively direct the videos as well. We talked when I was up doing the creative workshops. We talked about not wanting to be a stereotype, not wanting to be a statistic, not wanting to be a label, because you often hear these stigmas within the care system, and the young people voiced not wanting to be any of this. They want to be themselves, and you hear it in the music. I was like, you know what, like your accents are beautiful, and I really want to have it in the music. And beyond that, just in the sense of the bigger picture of being black and not wanting to be a statistic, and just trying to relate to bigger messages as well. I tried to roll a lot in this video, but I think hopefully it's quite powerful and you resonate with my message.
I'm not a number. I'm not a statistic. I'm not a title. I'm not a stereotype.
Yeah.
I'm not a problem. I am me.
It's amazing to know what I create is resonating with young kids caught up in a similar mix, connecting first-hand, travel the land, jam with bands, inspirational energy to run tracks, so I can't hold back or lose slack. I know what I represent, I've seen the impact. Each one, teach one, you gotta give back, cause you never know how you can change your life with the words you rap. A role model, I never could imagine that. Now I just wanted to write raps inspired by boom bap and all the MCs that come with it. Find my philosophy in this hip-hop we live in, encapsulated in my spirit. Vivid imagination, flipping adversities into animation. I'm not a product of my past, projecting free thoughts, not living behind bars.
Be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do. You need to be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Don't let the past cripple you.
Be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do. You need to be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Don't let the past cripple you. What inspired a boy called Rick, a child called It? One kid's courage to survive all that bull-ish. Real life stories, the essence of hip-hop and all its glory. Giving me fire for the torch, translate my poetry into musical form. No one full well the sunshine after the storm. The vision got me seeing clearer than ever, and to share my passion is a pleasure. Music lives forever. So when I'm gone, my spirit will live on, letting people know you can transform your outcome, whatever the context. You're blessed, and don't let anyone tell you less. Say yes to life, you deserve it. Cut out the vermin, they're not worth it. Keep on working on you, let your soul shine through, stay true. That's all you've got to do. So
be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do. You need to be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Don't let the past cripple you.
Be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Yeah.
You need to be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Don't let the past cripple you. Like a drop of inspiration, I ripple straight through. Spread my energy beyond the visible, the contact spiritual, the universal language, the architect for miracles. Life imitating art in the physical, kinetic. Uplift your mood, change the setting. Working with the law of attraction, attracting my blessings. See the lesson, self-educated, the native, beyond the matrix, adaptive, creative, the lightsaber. Trials to triumph, on the maker, awaken with nothing to give but elevation. The statement relate with word from the wise, raise it up, we major. Soul flavor, evident to my neighbors, eloquent in my nature, omnipresent, calm and cool. Using my presence as a tool with unlimited potential. The mind state's instrumental to
be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do. You need to be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Don't let the past cripple you.
Be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do. You need to be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Don't let the past cripple you.
If you are not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time.
You need to be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Don't let the past cripple you.
Be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do. You need to be what you wanna be, do what you wanna do.
Don't let the past cripple you. Be what you want to be, do what you want to do. Be
what you want to be. Yeah. Do what you want to do. Be what you want to be. Yeah. Do what you want to do. Be what you want to be. Yeah. Do what you want to do.
I just realized there's probably one little thing that I'm not explaining. I've made it almost sound seamless, how like, oh yeah, I did an album and then I put it out there and then social services picked it up and then I did this show and I helped them with songwriting. It wasn't like that at all. What actually happened, I never really thought to even send it to social services at first. What actually happened is that I went through the traditional method of putting your music out there. I went to radio DJs and anyone within the music industry, and basically I didn't really get any love. I didn't really get a response. I mean, a few people got back to me like, yeah, good luck, carry on. And because I was so passionate about the project, I just had an epiphany one Christmas. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go on Google and try and find every single social services email address I can find. And I emailed like about 100 email addresses, and it was a few of them that got back to me, and Swansea Social Services were the ones that are like, hey, we love your song, Hide and Seek, come up here. Now, so just to make it not seem like it was like smooth sailing, I was really passionate about, you know, getting this music out there, and that's why it was so rewarding to see young people resonate with it, and that song literally was inspired by the first experience of seeing their creativity on my music. And as I said, like, I'm a sponge to music. I love music, so I never really thought about the bigger picture too much. It was more like, hey, Tupac told a story, Lauryn Hill told a story, I'm gonna tell my story. But once you start knowing statistics, like only 6% of young people with care experience go to university, I was like, wow, I was one of the lucky few. Or you hear that 25% or even half of young people that are in prison that are under 25 were from care. When you start knowing these things, it's like, oh wow, like the work that I'm doing is more important than I even knew it in the first place. Initially, I just thought I was just telling my story and, you know, helping with workshops. But, you know, there's a bigger problem at hand. It's like, if I can help in my little way of just helping with creative confidence, or just being a representative when you feel like there's no representation of a positive care story, you know, them things made me know that this is much bigger than I initially thought. So, you know, I started searching for, let's say, more positive representation and more things I can bounce off, because I almost, at first, apart from A Child Called It, I thought I was on my own in the way that I was trying to find inspiration, let's say. But I come across the Big House Project, which are a London-based theatre who train predominantly young people or care experience actors to do productions that, it's not no sob story performance, it's literally professional top tier theatre level stories and storytelling and acting. And I went to see Phoenix Rising, and it was so powerful. To be honest, it inspired me with my music, to write my next project called The Rise of the Phoenix and Rebirth of the Phoenix. But that was literally inspired from seeing other young people doing professional, inspiring work. So yeah, that's a little bit about changing the narrative. And as I said, it wasn't an initial thing, but as I got more into my work and understanding how other young people felt, it's like I felt it was important to just change the narrative through my music and help where I can. Now, on the next important part, the importance of representation. As I said, apart from A Child Called It, I didn't really see any positive representations of care experienced people. So when I find out that DMX was in foster care, when I found out that Daryl from Run DMC was in foster care, who's actually at a point in his life where he's doing comics based about his experience in care and using a kind of similar to like Marvel story, which I'm going to go into in a bit, and just helping in his community. Eddie Murphy, Goldie, Jamie Foxx, world champions like Chris Akabusi, like, you know, I'm familiar with all these people, but I never knew they was in care until I started, you know, delving into these stories and trying to find out more about positive care experience stories. Talking about Marvel just a second ago, I found it fascinating that the archetype of superheroes are either fostered, adopted, or orphans. Like, I feel if that is more known on not only to the young people that are in care, but on in the public psyche, I think the future and the aspirations of young people that are in care are going to be much better, because they're not going to feel like, oh, they're an anomaly and they're a misfit. They're going to be like, wow, like Superman, Batman, X-Men, the X-Men home is a foster home. Like, like if they went through adversities and they've learned to be their own superhero, well, I understand the archetype, understand, the hero's journey. Maybe I'm on my hero's journey and I'm going to come out the other end and have a more positive experience. Like maybe, these are ideas that I think should be more publicly spoke about in a positive way. And on a more kind of, let's say, seeing my experience told through film in a more literal way, let's say, Farming was a film that came out last year, which farming, the term comes from a phenomena of West African parents farming their children to white suburban families between the 1960s to 80s. And I was a part of that, let's say, trend. So it was a private fostering situation, which, let's just say, a combination of not having good enough carers and just not having a decent enough situation at home. Social services took over the situation. But to see stories like this on screen made me more confident about my belonging. And I think it's very important to have these stories. These films only come out in the last 2 years. So The Last Tree, Small Axe from Steve McQueen, he's got a series in there talking from the foster care experience of a Black person. Foster Boy literally come out a couple weeks ago in Canada and the US. So like, I think these are mega important just to inform the public, but also help young people that have been in care feel more confident about their belonging and about their representation within media. Now, the very last section I want to talk about is mentors. Now, I put quote unquote mentors because I don't feel I've necessarily had a mentor in the traditional sense, but definitely there's been mentors in my life, and I'm just going to share a little bit about who I felt has been mentors to me. So the first mentor I feel that I had was my football manager, and the reason why I feel he was a mentor, more than just a football manager, he was one of the first people to, he got me my first Will Smith Getting Jiggy With It tape. Actually, my first tape, I never been gifted a tape when I was, I guess, 9 years old. I guess that shows a bit of my age as well. But just the fact he took an interest into knowing that I love music and rap, and him buying me a tape, not only did I see that, he took an interest into what I was interested in, but also I feel like maybe that could have been a bit of the reason why we won the Champions League or the Sunday League. Not because I was the best footballer on the team, but I just mean in the sense of like going that extra mile to pay attention to the young person's interests. That's only going to make them perform better in what they do, So I think that's important. And yes, we won the Sunday League a couple years later, so I think it helped. A more direct mentor was my art teacher. Now, this screenshot is actually from the film Farming, and I haven't really went into a story of farming, but let's just say it's quite extreme. Basically, the main character becomes a leader of a white skinhead gang because of the amount of trauma and racism that was going on within the area that he was in, and he felt he just had to do that to survive. Now, my story is not quite the same. Experienced a lot of racism though, but let's just say that, to cut to the point, the way the art teacher changed the trajectory, or the way the teacher in the film changed the trajectory of the young person, I really resonated with, because my art teacher helped me with my self-esteem, because I was always great at drawing and being creative, but if my drawings weren't photographically perfect, picture perfect, I used to just screw it up. And she just was patient with me, and just, once again, she took an interest into me and the whole class loving music. So I was allowed to play Eminem and Dr. Dre and whatever we wanted in class, as long as we would study about art and these artists. And I think just her helping me in my self-esteem and being attentive to what we're interested in. It really helped because it really showed that it's not just a dictatorship of education. She actually cares about what we're interested in. So I think that's an important quality that I even carry in my workshops. My foster dad, I feel he was a great mentor, not only because I never really knew a father figure before him, but also because, look, he told me he never really liked rap, but he'll go out of his way to take me to talent shows and look like he wants to be in my band. I mean, that is something. So just the fact he's always been just supportive, even beyond care. Like, I'm in my 30s now and he's still supportive and he's really proud of me, and I'm always welcome to the house, which is quite a rare thing when I talk to other young people, or care leavers more so, that they have that relationship. And Jerome, he is one of the founders of an organization called the Tope Project. Tope Project was founded based on Tope, his friend. He committed suicide at Christmas and he was a care leaver. And, you know, if you haven't necessarily got family to go to, which a lot of care leavers haven't, it can be a very difficult time. And the fact that Jerome, as a care leaver, as a friend to Tope, took the initiative to be like, you know what, we need to make sure this doesn't happen to other care leavers. Let's just start a community of people coming together in an office, in a community space that we can feel like we're sharing this experience of Christmas. Has been amazing. And you know, they've got sponsorship from brands, whether it's food or from brands that want to give gifts to care leavers, to make Christmas as beautiful as it would be with a traditional family. This initiative that they've started from quite a painful place is rippled across the UK, let alone it might be worldwide. And it's beautiful to see, because I literally only knew about them about 6 years ago, and now I'm seeing that there's Christmas dinners, care leavers Christmas dinners all over the country. And it's something that you would think that the government would be looking after, but it's care leavers with the shared experience and knowing how it could feel at Christmas for care leavers that have started this. And it's been beautiful to see it grow and help others around the country. So this is who I look at as mentors. And yeah, I put me at the end, but it's like, you know, I'm just grateful that I'm in a position where I can use my story, my creativity to help other young people know that, look, I've lived experiences just like you, and I've came out on top just from following my curiosity and following what keeps me creative and what keeps me sane and what keeps me happy. And just to be in that position is a beautiful thing. So I'm inspired by the voice of the voiceless, and I hope to inspire other young people to use their voice, to not be voiceless. Because we're in a time now where we can use social media to speak up about these adversities and these things that we're not too sure about. And there's going to be a community out there for us that are going to resonate. And yeah, it's just a beautiful time to be a part of that and help where I can. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed the presentation.